Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of AMRoC Fab Lab's Car Care with Pam. We're going to have another exciting discussion with Pam Oakes. And these are the kind of discussions that we have that aren't at a dealership level, they aren't at a tech level. She brings it right down to our level. Those of us that don't really know what's going on with cars, we don't know if we're getting taken when we go into the shop. Pam is gracious enough to have these discussions with us, teach us a few things. And tonight's discussion is going to be about HVAC, which I thought she said 8-track when she first told me, and I thought that would have been a really fun discussion. But that's okay. HVAC will be good too because it's really hot down here in Florida, and from what I understand, in the rest of the country as well. So if you're having some problems with your air conditioning in your car, we're going to be able to get some tips and solutions and some things from her on that. We also had a very exciting day today at the Fab Lab. One of our most favorite people that we're associated with, Dean Kamen. He's an inventor. He's a mentor. We love the culture that he creates throughout First Robotics, and we were so fortunate that one of his companies, Mobius, is doing a tour around the country of their new iBot wheelchair, and it's a wheelchair that allows the person to actually stand up and go back down. And they're touring around to the VA hospitals in the country. They're down here in Tampa, and they were gracious enough to give us our own exhibit of it today at the Fab Lab. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but Pam was. So we'll start off by getting some insight into how that was with her. And without further ado, welcome, Pam.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Busy day.
Yes, it was a very busy day, especially at AMRoC today. You were talking about the Mobius was there, the iBot wheelchair, and we missed seeing you there.
I wish I could have been there. I had a prior engagement that I was committed to and I couldn't do it at the lab. Most times I can bring my work to the Fab Lab, but today I couldn't, so I was really bummed out. But tell me a little bit about it. How was it?
It was very well received. They had, I would say, about 25 people there today. And, of course, we were talking about Mobius, the iBot, the wheelchair that's just not a wheelchair. Basically, what it does is it will actually, I know it sounds hard to believe, it'll actually climb stairs. It has that capability. So it has taken the person out of the wheelchair situation where they can just go on a level flat surface, and it does the work for you. It's
that is incredible.
Completely electric. And for those of you who don't have the need to climb stairs, well, it will also go over items, like curbs going up onto a sidewalk if you're in a parking lot, for an example, with ease. And the person, they are situated in the chair, very, very nice, comfortable chair. And you don't get that sensation like you're going to go forward or fall backwards.
Really?
Or have you. It's just kind of a natural motion.
Did you get to get in it?
No, I didn't, but Terry and Steve at AMRoC, they were in it with a host of other people. Wow. They were running out of time. Now they are Miami bound, and they're going to be at a VA clinic in Miami. And actually what started it is they were at the Tampa VA clinic, and they were showing the clinic this option for our veterans to start to do the things that they used to know and love to do before their injuries on the battlefield. God bless them. And it even
that's amazing.
It is, because they were showing slides of one guy, he was out there fly fishing in the middle of a stream.
Thing, wow.
Yeah, you can rinse it down with water and everything. It's not going to hurt anything. Everything's, hermetically sealed, so nothing's going to get hurt. What was somebody else doing? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did love this part of it, is that, individuals that have lost the mobility of their legs, now with this special iBot chair, they actually can stand. They're not physically standing, but they're bringing the head level up to others who are standing around them. And one participant who has with chairs says how they feel so much better about themselves because they're having that face-to-face contact with people standing, in line, what have you.
Sure, they're not being looked down, or to feel like they're being looked down upon. I'm sure people aren't actually looking down upon them, but just because of that natural gaze, you have to feel like.
He said those words exactly. He says, I don't feel like I'm being looked down upon anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were demonstrating it. They had somebody hold their hand out and somebody else was pressing against their hand while you're sitting in the chair.
It didn't knock them over, or
no,
it was sturdy and.
Yeah, it's all on gyroscopes. So, no matter what the terrain.
Of course it is. Right? With Dean Kamen, of course it is.
And they had like a little iPhone, iPad there where you could adjust, and a little joystick.
So it looked easy enough to use and
effortless.
Well, I know they got some footage of it, and I'm sure Terry will be featuring it predominantly in our upcoming social media and some other things. So if you're not already, please join our Facebook and our Instagram, AMRoC Fab Lab, so that you can see some of these things as they're coming up.
One thing I found it was really interesting that wasn't the star of the show today. They were showing prosthetics, and one of them was for a hand. And we've all seen Star Wars how many times, where Luke Skywalker loses his hand and lightsaber as Darth Vader takes a blow to above his wrist.
Yeah.
And at the very end, you can see the droid putting that artificial hand back on what's left of his limb there. They actually have one of these now. It's called Skywalker, but they've nicknamed it Luke, the Luke.
No, that's awesome.
It's through the universe, through their company, and through the University of Utah. They've already have 7 people that have it, and it's as delicate. They can actually feel like sensation. They can feel for pressure. They were taking grapes and pulling grapes off of a stem, and the first time the guy did that and dropped it in, he was like, you could just see the look on his face, like, oh, I got my hand back,
That's incredible.
It was. And what else was he doing? Eggs. Yeah, picking up eggs, delicate things. And then one frame they were walking his dog, and he was petting his dog, and so they have that control. They have, it looks like your hand looks like there's a glove on your hand. And yeah.
So, and what does that have to do with cars?
Pardon?
A lot. And people might say, what does that have to do with car care? Well, a lot, because it'll take a person who maybe doesn't like to drive anymore because they're missing, a limb, or used to be a car enthusiast who would wash and wax, and maybe they don't feel like doing that anymore. That's just not the same. Well, it brings things like that into the realm of possibility, back to them.
Definitely.
And so all these things affect, like, they layer on top of each other. It's not just, I can use my hand again. It opens up all the other worlds that they used to be in and love.
Like we take for granted, take advantage.
Completely take for granted. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty interesting. How we've gotten that tight with the tech. Yeah, the biotech, very nice. Very nice to see that's available to our troops who are in need.
Yeah, absolutely. Who deserve it the most.
Yes, they do. They really do.
They're willing to give up everything for us.
Yeah, they are. We're very thankful. I fly a lot, which I travel around the U.S. a lot. Every time I pass a troop, I always thank them. I really do. But it was. I can't wait till Terry puts the program up on the Facebook page. You guys make sure you get a chance and take a look at that. And Absolutely. This is just scratching the surface. This is the stuff that they're showing you. That's not the stuff they're actually doing in the background.
Right.
So.
Right. That was one of the things at the conference that I went to today. Had all different tech companies in it, and it was for education and how they're helping out, especially with how the pandemic really wreaked havoc with education, and it really, it meant a lot to me, even though I was just there, as a participant, as staff, kind of recording it for plug hits. But it goes into all of the things that we do at AMRoC and FCDI, because they wanted to help the underprivileged. They wanted to help bridge that gap between the people that already had computers and the kids that didn't. And so many of us don't think about that. I mean, when they shut the schools down, my kid has a laptop and a computer and a tablet and a phone, and they just went and, there's kids that were sitting on curbs at Burger King trying to get, their parents' cell phone to connect to the classroom and stuff like that. So it was really nice to see these tech companies not only acknowledging it, but saying, in one way, the pandemic was actually good for that, because it opened our eyes to it even more. Like, we knew it was there, but boy, it hit us in the face.
Yeah.
And we were able to really jump forward with our technology that we'd already had kind of in the works. Mm-hmm. But now we know how even more important it is. And so yeah, it was neat to see all that stuff, and gave me a lot of ideas for AMRoC and for FCDI as well. That hopefully in that little community that we're in there by University Mall, if we can bring some of these things to them and, just kickstart it throughout the Tampa Bay community, it'll be great.
Just think of all the minds that it would open up.
Yeah. And even something as silly as, well, I say silly because I'm just now entering the world of it, and so many people don't know about it, of esports. There's millions of people that go, esports, that's just, I don't even know how they're making money doing that, or, oh my gosh, it is already big, and it's getting ready to explode.
Yeah. And
it's another area where the underserved communities don't have a chance to really jump into it, because it's not in the school systems yet. That's part of what this conference was about. They're bringing the technology and all the other behind the scenes jobs that it can create, not just those kids that are playing the game and making, winning a competition and making a bunch of money, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and it opens up STEM jobs for them. And just by being interested in Minecraft or Smash Brothers or, League of Legends, whatever those games are that I don't even know. But yeah, and I think the same thing we need to do again with what you're helping us do at AMRoC with these car classes, these automotive tech classes. Mm-hmm. You're taking it to where people who either they don't have anything at all, and this is an opportunity for me, or hey, I'm just doing oil changes. How do I get from this pay grade to this pay grade? Like, I don't know how to do it. It costs too much money. It takes too much time. And you're opening that door for them. And we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I just, a lot of people have given me opportunities through the decades. And, it's time to nurture the up and coming. Yeah. I feel the same way, yeah. We have one guy who, he went not only through the ASC G1 prep there at AMRoC that we do, but he also went through the entrepreneur class at AMRoC. He's running his own business now.
Really?
He's in mobile tech, running his own business. And we have somebody else that actually, they're going to be doing the same thing, and they're getting their ASC. They went through the class, and then they kind of left it go, which they shouldn't have. Excuse me, I got something in my eye. Left it go, and they didn't. So we kept on prodding him, because we do that.
Yeah.
Got his ASC, and the next entrepreneurial class he'll be attending will be with you guys again. See, he wants to follow Ron's footsteps. He wants to do exactly what he did.
That's amazing. So, I love stories like that.
Ron, too, doing that. He's kind of a mentor. He's showing him, hey, I just came to the area 3-4 years ago, and look what I'm doing. I was about ready to give up in automotive. Look what I'm doing now. So that's good.
Yeah.
And we need them out there. We're pushing almost 50,000. It used to be like around 46. Now they're saying about 50,000 techs short by 2025.
Wow.
So for those who want to get their car repaired or get an oil change or whatever, their car is going to be sitting idle if it needs a repair, a corrective repair. because there's going to be a line in front of them. And we need these people because it's just not turning wrenches anymore. You know, there's more modules on today's cars and trucks that were on a space shuttle.
Wow.
I tell the guys, I said, you guys are rocket scientists.
The equivalent of.
Yeah.
They keep us moving every day.
That's right. Yeah. How would you get to work? You know, how would you go to the grocery store, pick up the kids from school, run errands, go to the movies?
Yeah. Hopefully soon.
Soon. Yes.
As things open up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that one kind of drug a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
That one was a foot dragger compared to everything else opening up. But that's okay.
No, I think that's fine. Absolutely. That's close quarters. I'm not ready to go back to the movies yet, but soon. Very soon.
Very soon. Yeah, it was kind of funny last year. I was in California a lot last year, in the very beginning before they shut everything down. And I passed UC Davis, and I remember I was talking to Pete on the phone. I was on my way actually over to the airport, and I says, you know what? I says, that's where everybody's sick. I says, what am I doing out here every week? I says, oh, well. And yeah.
Yeah. Look, when you look back to January, February now, and even March, like, we knew that there was something out there. We knew it was starting here, but we were still going into the office. We were still traveling. We were still, you know, because we didn't quite grasp it. So hopefully now after this crazy year plus, people grasp it. And if something starts to pop up again, hopefully we do the right thing.
Yes.
You know, more people do the right thing. But let's talk about HVAC or 8-track, whatever you feel like talking about tonight.
I had an 8-track in my 69 Plymouth. I did. Then everybody says, oh, 8-track, oh my God, I didn't have that. You know, 8-track tapes.
Yeah. I wish I'd have saved them. I had a little portable, like the equivalent to, I guess, what a boombox is now, but it was little. And yeah, you pop the thing in the top, and I wish I would have saved that.
I had one of those. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
it was colorful.
Like a toaster size, and you'd pop it in. Yeah. I forgot about those, yeah. And we had the case. The case looked like the boom boxes, you know.
So if anybody out there has an 8-track, send us some pictures of it. We'll show it. We'll show it online.
Almost forgot what they look like. But I was talking earlier about HVAC, and basically that's HVAC as in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Okay. Oh, that's right. There's heat too, isn't there? I don't think of that in Florida anymore.
No, we don't need that down here. That's for sure. We got enough of it brewing out there. Was several things. First of all, is that you see the commercials on TV, not only for automotive, but for your house. And they said, oh, get your AC serviced.
Yeah.
This is a sealed system, guys.
That's what David says all the time.
Yes, does he?
Yeah.
Don't fix it with anything that, but this is a sealed service. And so they sit there and go, oh, for $24.95. Now you think about this. Is somebody going to come out to your house for that? No. Is somebody going to look at your car for that amount? No, they're not. And the way the systems are nowadays, I should say the recovery, recycling, and recharge machines, the triple R machines, how they are nowadays, is that they'll pull all the refrigerant out, and then whatever your make and model it is, they'll actually put the vehicle identification number in there. It's all logged, and we'll put the proper amount of refrigerant and lubricant or oil, there's actual oil that goes in there. And they'll put that back in, and then they'll see what the difference is.
Okay.
That's what they say, how they're charging you. If you're not having a problem, it should be within an ounce either way, right? So that's something that you really need to, first of all, don't go in and have your AC service unless you're having an issue. Number one. Number two is that you are having an issue and they go and they says, oh, you were just a few ounces low. Well, if you were up north and it was a nice bitter cold winter and now it's spring, summer, you want that AC to be working. During the cold weather, nobody turns it on anyway. Now there's ambient temp sensors and all that's not going to allow it to turn on. But we used to tell you to run it maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks because there's O-rings in there. And when you run the AC system, it pushes the lubricant, the oil past the O-rings, and it keeps them in shape. Okay. So if they're just sitting there kind of idle and that cold and it's dry and they kind of shrivel a little bit, you may lose an ounce or two. Maybe. You have a spring lock coupler set up. Maybe, okay?
Okay.
But when you have, it's just not as cold as it used to be, and they go in and they top it off. Oh, no, you're just a little bit low. We put in 5 ounces. Have a nice day. By EPA, by law, you have to look for a leak.
You have to do what?
You have to look for a leak where it was leaking out of. So in the newer machines.
Oh, and they're not.
Yeah, the newer machines, they'll tell you if there's a leak or not, because they'll stop. They'll say, look for the leak. But there's a way you can go around and saying, yes, I looked for the leak. Yes, I used the electronic leak detector. No, I didn't find anything. I'll top it off. There's ways around these things, okay? And the whole thing is expensive because they charge you to evacuate back in the recharge, and they charge you for the refrigerant, and they charge you for shop disposal fees, correct? All that all combined is not $24.95.
No.
Trust me. So if you suspect something's going on and you think, I don't have the $24.95 and I know they're going to charge me a lot more than that, I'm going to go to the auto parts store and I'm going to get one of those containers and I'm going to put it in myself.
Is that advisable?
Technicians and shops love it. We love at this point. We want you to buy a ton of that stuff and put it in your car because, first of all, you don't realize that it has to be a certain operating pressure. Okay? When you're unloading that whole can, some of them have little gauges on it, say good, bad, and medium, the red, green, and yellow. You can't go off that gauge. You don't know. How reliable is that gauge? This can may be reliable. The can behind it, that gauge might not quite work right. You don't know. You don't know what you're getting. Piece of plastic. So you're installing this, what we call in the industry hand grenades, because some of them, that's what we called it when it used to be R12. They look like little hand grenades, and sometimes they blow up in your hand.
No.
Not nowadays, but back then. And so, you're putting in maybe 12 ounces, 8 ounces, 10 ounces. You don't know because you're going to lose some in the atmosphere anyway. How you put it in because you've never done this before. If you have, you don't do it every day like we do. So you're going to lose some of it. You're putting this in, well, maybe you're only 4 ounces low. And I just put 10 ounces in. What is that going to do? Let me tell you what it does. Is it floods it, and it makes it so it's not cold air coming out, guys. You put too much in. You have too much in, you get hot air out of the vents. You have too little in, you have hot air coming out of the vents. There's a little fine happy medium there. So, if you have your next door neighbor who's a technician who does this and he volunteers, that's one thing. He has a reliable set of manifold gauges where he can measure all this out. That's one thing. But in the parking lot,
not so much.
Then the part two to that, those little hand grenades and little cylinders that they have a sealer in it. Great. There's a sealer in it. I think I'm low on refrigerant anyway. Just will seal up the problem and I'm fixed, right? Not necessarily, no. That sealer may or may not work. And then when you get to the shop to have it inspected, they check. There's a sealer and a refrigerant identification machine. And if they see that there's sealer in your car, any shop worth anything is going to say, you need to take it down the street because I don't want that in my machine.
Oh.
Yeah. They're not going to run the risk because what happens? The sealer comes out of the car and it goes into the machine. It's going to gum up all the works. Those machines, they can run between $5,000 and $7,000 each.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're not going to be messing with that.
They're not going to jeopardize their machine.
No. No. And even back in the 90s, I had a refrigerant sealer identifier. I mean, it's not something new that's out.
Okay.
And part 2 of that, we have a new refrigerant. We've way back in the early 90s, we had R12.
Yeah.
And R12 was something that we gave up on the Montreal Protocol. And it says we have to give up something bad for the environment. We're giving up R12. Freon. Freon is the trade name of R12. We were going to give up Freon. Well, what are we going to put in here? I don't know. Hey, you know what? DuPont's got a new one out. It's 134A. Right. So we went from R12 to 134A.
Okay.
Starting to be phased out now. But 134A that we had for years. We had for decades. We could retrofit together R12 and 134A, meaning if you had a car that had an R12 system, we could retrofit it so it would accept the 134A refrigerant. Fast forward to 2011 on up. Slowly but surely, except for 2020, everything's got the new stuff in it, which is 1234YF.
Okay.
Okay. It's supposed to be a little easier on the atmosphere, which is kind of always interesting to me because this stuff's not supposed to be vented anyway. And it's in a sealed system, so how would it get up in the atmosphere? Well, that's another story. Anyway, so now we have this new refrigerant, 1234YF. Before, when we went from 12 to 134A, remember, we could retrofit, we could make it work on that car. You cannot retrofit a car that has 134A over to 1234YF. Chemistry is completely different. The orifices are like 10 times smaller. You can barely see through them. And it's just basically part replacement. You have to replace the climate control, the AC parts in that car to make it work. Because 134A is slowly being phased out now. And we have the 1234YF. So you go into the auto parts store. My car's got 1234YF, and you see the little can down there and everything, and it's like, that's what I need. Well, the other big difference between 134A and 1234YF, 1234YF is what they call mildly flammable. Yes, there's an ignition point to it. A spark, so on and so forth, as to the point that one of the Society of Auto Engineering guidelines states if your vehicle has the new refrigerant, we call those refrigerants, remember R12 is Freon, this is a refrigerant, 1234YF, you have that for your car, and say for an example, you got in a car accident and the airbag is deployed and you take it to the body shop, what is the insurance adjuster going to do? He's going to find a dash out of the junkyard to put back in your car because those air modules are very expensive. And this is the cheap way around it. So inside that dash assembly that they're taking out of the car and putting it over to your car, in there is part of the AC system called the evaporator core. Before they could have cared less. We used it in that car, we're going to use it in your car. Now with the new A2L mildly flammable 1234YF refrigerant, you can't reuse that evaporator core. They have to put a completely new one in. The reason being, they don't want to have a problem of it leaking. Because when refrigerant leaks, it's heavier than air, all of them are, and it drops around the floor, in the cab of your vehicle, front floor area. And then it slowly dissipates and goes out. Well, if you have, it's cold outside, you have the heater on, the windows are up, or if it's blazing hot outside, you have the AC on, you're trying to get some air out of there, and that refrigerant leaks out into the cab area because the evaporator core is leaking. They have studies that show that there are particular instances where you could have a little flash fire. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's not good.
That? No. The switch turning on your heated seat or your air conditioned seat, there's a little spark there, guys. Your cell phone, remember on the gas station says, please do not use your cell phone, right? Because it's the fumes that get you, not the actual fluid. It's the fumes from it. Same thing here. And what's down by your seat? Oh, your electric seats. You move your electric seats back and forth, right? There's a spark. So this is what they're trying to prevent. The reason why I'm telling you this is because there's a third pseudo refrigerant out there called 744. What has happened was everything was going from 134A to 1234YF refrigerant. The old stuff, 134A, over the new stuff. Back in 2011, 2012, over in Europe. Europe started first. And Mercedes-Benz, they put 1234YF in their car, and their customers were complaining. And these high-end cars, and it's warm, and it's not getting cool like the other stuff. And Mercedes said, okay. They did a consumer satisfaction campaign, brought all the cars back in, pulled out the new refrigerant, put the old refrigerant back in. Problem solved. Well, the rest of the European automotive manufacturers and environmentalists are screaming at Mercedes, saying, you can't do this because it's got a higher threshold to ruin the atmosphere than the new stuff. Okay? Mercedes says, no, we're going to work on something else. We got something else that we're going to be using. Not quite yet, but we got something in the works. And yes, they do. It's called R744. This is to take the place of 134A. They've been working on it for quite a long time. They have it at the proving grounds in Scottsdale, Arizona, and other places. The reason why I mentioned that is I had a friend who was out there who was watching all this.
Okay.
And yeah, it cools just as well. It really does. They've almost mastered this. Of course, you know they're going to. It's Mercedes. They're the first ones with the autonomous car in 1985.
Wow.
They're going to do this. They have a level 4 right now. It parks itself at Stuttgart. Yeah, they're going to master this. But anyway, so 744. All it is carbon dioxide. What is carbon dioxide? What we're exhaling.
Yeah.
Carbon dioxide. So, but it's at higher pressures. It's about 2,500 psi. No big deal. I tell the guys, no big deal, because you're going to treat it with respect that it deserves. So it's no big deal. You know your stuff, you'll be fine. Needless to say, they were getting the backlash because they says, well, 1234YF, they says, we've had some fires. Well, they had a little flash fire, maybe. But everybody knew it was mildly flammable. So now we're going to have this big push between DuPont Honeywell 1234YF to Mercedes 744. So we'll see what happens. We know it's coming. And it's got zero environmental impact.
But does it work?
So, yeah,
Will it keep me cool? But does it work? Yeah? It'll keep me nice and cold?
Yes.
Well, that's
Oh, yeah,
good.
definitely. It's, you know, just like those wheelchairs and that Luke Skywalker had. It's just people thinking, you know, and like these opportunities that they're giving these kids here. And this thing, you know, they don't have to reinvent the wheel, but make it better. That's how you do it. That's what we do in automotive. Don't have to reinvent it, just make it better.
Make it better.
That's what they've done here. So the consumers out there, you'll be seeing this shortly, I'm sure. Within the next 5-10 years, you'll see it in mass production.
Okay.
And it's going to be a triple R machine that us technicians are going to have to buy for $5,000 to $7,000.
Ah.
Because people don't realize, you know, just to do HVAC, just to do the AC system, the hybrid and the battery electric vehicles, the BEVs, they can take either 134.8 or 1234YF, but there's a specific lubricant, specific oil that they have to put in there that doesn't grab onto the electrons because it's an electrical system, okay?
Right.
So we have a machine for hybrid electric 134A. Then we have a second machine for hybrid electric 1234YF. Then we have to have a machine.
I think we're losing you, Pam.
Because there's a lot of 33 cars out there. Yeah.
I think you're freezing up on us.
So you have, and then, am I freezing up on you?
Yeah, you're freezing up some. The audio goes wonky. Let me see.
Is that better?
Yeah, I can. You're unfrozen now, but the audio is still bad.
I can hear it crackling.
Let's see if that helped at all. Oh, you're frozen again.
Am I frozen again?
Yeah.
Which this is a good segue here. Not to talk about what we were talking about in class today with the segue, but next month we're all going to be at AMRoC. So
yes.
Come on out if you have any automotive questions. We're going to have live audience participation. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be
true.
Ask the Tech.
Ask the Tech.
Yep.
Next month, the third Wednesday in July, we're going to be. Yep. I'm going to just mute you and see if that helps. And you're frozen again too. Anyway, next month in July, we're going to be live at AMRoC instead of virtual, although we may still have a virtual component to it, but please come out and join us live at AMRoC. And she has a month now to work on her topic, but I think this HVAC topic has been great. I know, especially for me, you see things and you think you're being proactive, like, oh, I have a coupon or I saw an ad, I need to go get my AC checked. It's getting hot. I want to make sure it doesn't break. I'm going to take it and get it checked. Okay, don't do that, guys. Pam told us, don't go get it checked. They're going to charge you $25, maybe more. There's really nothing they can do to check it. Your AC is either broke or it's not, right? So if you start noticing that it's not cooling, or you see leaks, or I guess you wouldn't see the leak of the AC, but you start noticing there's a problem with the AC, then you're going to take it in. And you want to make sure to take it in because you don't want to do this yourself. There's all kinds of complications. Yeah, they sell some kits and some things at AutoZone or some of the car care places. They're not easy to administer. You can mess it up a lot, and you're going to end up taking it in anyway. It's either not going to cool properly, you're going to end up taking it in anyway. So just know, save your money and don't go get the AC checked. But when it is broken, you are having problems, take it in, spend the money, get it done right. And then we'll see. Is there anything else, Pam?
One last thing. Down here, put the AC on maximum or recirculate.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with fuel economy. It has everything to do about recirculating that cold air again through the system. That's all it's doing. It's keeping that hot, moist air out of the vehicle.
Right.
So in the hotter months, keep it on recirculator max. And if it gets too cold in the car, you can always back off the temperature by the dial.
Right. Turn down the fan.
Turn the fan down. Well, if you turn the fan down, that's another trick. You can turn the fan down after it gets nice and cool. Turn it down to like 2 or 3 towards the bottom there, so it's hardly blowing. There's a bigger concentration of cold air in that case, so it drops it even lower in temperature.
Okay. So I'm gonna mute you again, but that makes a lot of sense because I'm always really, really warm. I hate being hot. The AC has to be cranking. So David taught me a long time ago that you want it on recirculate, or in some cars max means recirculate. So I have a lot of friends that are cold all the time. And I tell them, you really should have that on max. And they're like, no, I'm cold. And I'm like, no, but it's not that. It's better for your car. It's cheaper. It's, to recirculate the cool air than to bring in hot air. Like I tell them all that. But there was a time also that David would tell me, don't put it on max. Don't turn the fan up all the way because you're not going to be as cold. And that's counterintuitive to me. I'm like, no, I need it up all the way. I'm really hot. So that you clarified that some. Start off with it all the way, get it going, and then turn her down, and it'll be even cooler because of the reserve that's built up. Okay, that's good to know. See, guys, if I can even learn something, then hopefully y'all are learning stuff too. This has been really good. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye, and hopefully we will not have these technical difficulties next month because we're going to be live at AMRoC. Please come out and see us. Follow us on social media. We look forward to your comments and your questions. And until then, goodbye from AMRoC and from our car care specialist, Pam.